Are Manchester United in a title race this season? Guys, I've been incredibly impressed from what I've seen from this team. It's almost emotional because last season we saw a lack of everything. And one thing Ten Hag keeps saying against some of these bigger teams in press conferences is that we need to be amazing out of possession. If you want to beat the best teams in the world, you have to be good out of possession. Man City, for example, the other day, God, as soon as they don't have the ball, they're pressing. They counter press as soon as they lose possession of the ball. We last season, as Manchester United fans, witnessed lazy players, lack of interceptions, lack of tackles, lack of want, a lack of desire to get the ball back as soon as we lost possession. And we were poor in possession and out, but especially out of possession, we did not see enough players walking around. But what we're seeing this season, we're seeing everything that we've wanted to see. I've doubted Wan-Bissaka, I've doubted Lindelof, I've doubted Maguire. I'm still not saying that they are 25, 30 games this season players for Manchester United. I don't think they are. I honestly don't think they are. Martinez and Varane are our best centre-backs, and now Luke Shaw playing left centre-back has been absolutely phenomenal. We're quite fortunate to have someone in Martinez and Luke Shaw who kind of have similar abilities in terms of their passing, playing out from the back. Luke Shaw can do that very well. Look, Martinez can play midfield, and I'm pretty sure Luke Shaw could as well, but we've never played him there. I've been incredibly impressed with this team. Last season, it was poor. Different managers playing different tactics and implementing some of these players into different positions. Dalot and Telles last season, we hadn't seen much of them. Dalot and Telles, we hadn't seen much of them last season. They came in, they done well for the first 6-7 games under Ralph, but then it went downhill. Our team was a mess last season. And when you're seeing players like Wan-Bissaka playing inverted this season, Dalot doing what he did before the World Cup, now he's got a bit of an injury, so until he comes back, we have to see how he performs. But even Luke Shaw, transformed player, he's a lot more solid this season. You can see his physical appearances. Look, that doesn't always mean anything. But he's slimmed down. He's still a very physical player. Fantastic passer of the ball. Great crosser of the ball. Luke Shaw, it's just consistency with a lot of these players. And I'm still not completely sold by Maguire. I'm still not completely sold by Lindelof. But when you're looking at how to manage a team that does not have a lot of depth, look, we don't have a lot of depth. When we're talking about players we rate in Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Fred, McTominay. Even you can talk about Elanga, Martial, Rashford. Look, Rashford is in brilliant form right now. This is the Rashford we've missed. There's still a question there. Can we rely on these players to be consistent? Wan-Bissaka, for me, he's a fantastic defensive fullback. And even sometimes his positioning is a bit suspect, I would say. But then again, when you're playing in the Ten Hag system, you're down to get found out because you're playing very high up the pitch. Wan-Bissaka, that's not necessarily his game, but I tell you what, he's been absolutely phenomenal ever since he's come back into the team. His ability to know when to go back and when to go forward is really good because at times against Man City, I thought he was too deep. But you saw the threat from Man City's wide positions. You saw the threat there. It was constantly there. Foden, but he was shut down. Fred was always on De Bruyne. De Bruyne was constantly trying to get involved in the game from wider positions, from central positions, and Fred kept shutting him down. And again, it comes back to the same thing. Out of possession, we are active, energetic, tackles, interceptions. That's what it's about. And it seems like such a simple thing. But it's not, because this is one of the main reasons why Man City win a lot of their games. As soon as they lose the ball, counter press on, win the ball back, we got the ball back again. Creativity. They were poor against us in the first half, in my opinion. Kept losing the ball, sloppy in possession. We were very good at not necessarily pressing from the front, but we were compact. The formation was fantastic. And the midfield, again, there was no player coming out of position. Yes, we still saw some players like Bruno and Fred trying to press, but again, we're talking about players like Bruno and Fred who are very active. They get back into position quickly. And again, Fred is all over the pitch. But when we're looking at someone who wants to break down a low block and someone who can be very creative, Fred is a very inconsistent player. I think that there is something in Fred that I say sometimes, I think, how did you pick up that pass when last week you could even make a 5-yard pass? It's incredible to see some of the inconsistencies in some of these players, but Ten Hag has managed this team incredibly. If Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Malacia, Diogo Dalot, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, all of these players play like this until the end of the season, from what we've seen, I would be very comfortable and confident with this team getting close to winning the league. I'm not so sure we can win the league this season. We're still in 4 competitions. Ten Hag takes this very seriously, but he's managed to rotate efficiently as well. Again, talking about the word efficiency, in possession this season, we've been very efficient in possession. Look at the passes we've seen against Man City. What I have seen, and what I've been so happy of seeing, is that last season, we really struggled when we were being pressed in tighter positions. When we haven't had much space to pass the ball. This season, as soon as we're getting pressed in tight positions and in tight spaces, we deal with it very well. We pass the ball very quickly, very good triangles. We deal with it very well. Last season, we kept losing possession of the ball. We couldn't hold the ball more than 2 seconds. And this season, we managed to play out of a press in tight spaces very, very well, which we couldn't do last season. And it's very impressive. It's confidence. It's partly confidence. It's not necessarily the ability of the players, but it's confidence. You could see last season, a lot of players, the shoulders were low. They couldn't be asked. They couldn't be asked. But this season, Ten Hag demands. He demands work rate. He demands confidence, really. And we've seen it. Martinez, ever since the World Cup, he hasn't played. Why? He went out partying. Ten Hag is clearly not happy with him, which I'm completely happy with. I don't care. But I do think he's one of our best centre-backs and he does need to get back into the team as soon as possible. But it shows, look, I can bring in Maguire anytime, Lindelof, and we're still winning games. If they perform like this, look, and there will be losses here and there. There will be losses. It will happen. But can we win the league? I think we can. If we continue to perform at this consistent level, we can win the league. Arsenal still needs to play Man City. We still need to play Arsenal. We beat them earlier on this season. If we beat them, and we beat some of the smaller teams that we didn't beat last season, look at last season. My God. We struggled to beat Norwich, Burnley, Brentford, Brighton. I mean, Brighton are not a small team. They're a good team, but we struggled to beat some of the teams we should be beating, and this season we're doing it. We're beating some of the bigger teams this season, but we're also beating the smaller teams. So it's about keeping consistency, and that's what it's about. I'm incredibly impressed from what I've seen. And Ten Hag, I hope that he continues to demand the same thing he's been demanding this season to these players, because he knows some of these players are not good enough. He knows. But when you've got a manager who's, look, clearly Ten Hag is quite a harsh manager. He is. We can see it. He's not bringing on Martinez. Maguire's not starting like he was last season. And it's not even harsh. Look, to him, the team he's been playing clearly is his best starting 11 to him. But even then I say that he keeps rotating because he knows that we cannot play the same team week in and week out and get a trophy this season. It's not possible. We don't have the squad depth. Arsenal keep playing the same 11 every week. They'll start dropping points eventually, Arsenal, because they're not rotating enough. But guys, let me know what you think. Can Manchester United win the league this season? I believe so.